Mesmer is literally the poster child of Shadow of the Erdtree. He's on the poster, he's all over the marketing, and depending on how you feel about Consort Radahn, he's the final boss. A lot of you are pretty salty. Like that's kind of your whole personality now, huh? When the first trailer came out, we tried to build Mesmer with tools from the base game, but how does that compare to Mesmer's real 18-inch tool? Today, we find out in a New Game Plus run as Mesmer. To watch these runs live, follow us on Twitch. We find new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel. Mesmer kinda dunked on Consort Radahn in the poll, so if you don't like who wins, join the Patreon and vote. Finally, make sure you like and subscribe, lest you be embraced in Mesmer's flames. Now, let him cook. Okay, so that top corner looks a little weird, I'm aware. I tried a new setup to leave myself more desk space. Here's what sucked about it. I'm right in front of the window, so I get hit with the blue temperature light from outside rather than the standard orangish yellow, so I look like I've never been outside. Gamers, if you want to learn how to take good pics for the dating apps, it's 90% lighting. This is a cautionary tale. The first things we need for Mesmer are pretty easy to get, we just buy them. Mesmer out here being so pale that I almost look good by comparison. Almost. The drip is just leaving Mesmer's thighs out in all their milky white. Google Mesmer dripping milky white on his thighs on your work computer for more specific pictures. We ran behind the Meteor Church to duplicate the Remembrance and respec for basically nothing but faith and dexterity, well, and vigor, but the spear scales almost entirely with dex and faith, and the spells scale with faith. Casting speed always scales with dex. It's pretty much ideal. This build will have problems. High stat requirements are not one of them. Leveling everything up is a bit annoying. First stop e.g. buy stones with money, then up through Volcano Manor and struggle to fight the snake because it is 100% immune to fire damage. Uh-oh, are there other bosses that resist fire damage? Moog on that later. The best seal for Mesmer's spells probably isn't the Fire Knight seal, despite them giving a 15% bonus to the damage of Mesmer's spells. That's because even when we get it all leveled up, the scaling is just dog water. Technically, we can't level it up till we grab the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone by Theodore Rex. Hey, can he even hit us up here?
Not really.
I guess it takes some time, but it's a totally safe fight because we can throw out the spear with a charge attack. Fully charged, it puts some fire on the ground. Believe it or not, this giant fire dragon actually resists fire pretty heavily. If you can't get hit though, you kinda can't lose your life. You can lose plenty of time. We have to attack the turtle next because someone ate the Mesmer rune they duplicated specifically for Mesmer's orb.
What an idiot!
Now we've grabbed Mesmer's long spear and one of his orbs, but we still need more. Up the rafters of Shadowkeep, we can yeet some bats out and eventually make our way to the top of the elevator to grab the Fire Knight Hildy. I could also grab the Quaeleg Spirit Ash, but that's a longer quest and I don't want to do all that. They're basically the same thing. Hildy can't be grabbed, can be stance broken. Quaeleg can be grabbed, can't be stance broken. They both do a lot of fire damage. It's pretty lateral. Fire boosting physic here might help the big fireman. How good is Mesmer's orb against the tree? Pretty good. Turns out trees, they don't like fire. Sounds pretty obvious. Just like it's super obvious that coding is a path to a great career. But how do you learn coding? With today's sponsor, boot.dev. That's right, gamers, this video is sponsored by our friends over at boot.dev. According to Stack Overflow, the median salary for a back-end developer in 2023 in the United States was $100,000 a year. That's a great job, and that's a job that often lets you work remotely or from home, so you don't have to move. Boot.dev is the best way to learn back-end development with Python and Go programming languages. They teach you how to write code the best way possible by making you write code, a lot of code. You're gonna write a lot of code. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, you're learning a valuable skill. Thankfully, it's still fun. Boot.dev turns the programming learning experience into a fun RPG with XP points and even a leaderboard for you sicko PvP types. You know who you are. If you're not into the PvP thing, that's fine. Boot.dev has a wonderful Discord community where other developers can help other learning developers learn developing. They even let you learn for free, only charging for the extra fun RPG style stuff. Click link in the description or go to boot.dev.com/Tulok to get 25% off your first purchase, either a monthly or a year-long subscription. I recommend trying out the free stuff, seeing if you like it, and then going for the full year because it's a bigger discount. Remember, that's the link in the description, boot.dev.com/Tulok for 25% off your first subscription purchase. Go learn some coding, put me up on the right monitor. Now let's get back to Mesmer. We started over. Let's start the Scion fight with 2 of Mesmer's orbs right in his face. First the orbs, then we impale him down the throat. Hopefully you grafted an extra throat. That's kind of an omen for how things are going to go this run. At least, at first. Marika left Mesmer in the Lands of Shadow for a reason. If he dropped in the lands between, the 2 fingers would have gotten charred. Speaking of omens, it's Margit. I hit a big ball and then get smacked out of the air. Over and over again. Mesmer's orb doesn't really give you any poise, but good news, it does take your FP away before you land. Wait, that's bad news. That sucks. Fire Serpent, though, it's kind of like a fire version of Magic Glintblade. Delayed launch after the cast, decent damage, fast cast speed. I like this one. Mesmer's orb? It's dog water. Apparently it goes really hard if you have good poise, but I'm sorry that I looked at Mesmer's orb and assumed that I could use the Mesmer set that boosts Mesmer's incantations and have it like work. Against Godric we try again. I like to try things. I test them. You have to line it up and start launching it like 15 feet away from the boss too. Otherwise you just dive too far and miss. Then we just wash his second phase with 1 weapon art. The weapon art is better than the spell.
Slow news day.
I understand spacing is a thing you have to keep in mind for a spell, but if you need to watch out for the spacing, put armor on to get the poise to cast it, only use it certain times and against certain bosses, that just ain't that good. I have been using the spear because I know the Great Spear R1 moveset is going to do fine. I don't have to test that. That's going to work. At least we can imagine Mesmer and Fortnite. Also, even the stuff that's on this build that doesn't work still works well enough that we're not really struggling at all. Hitting the dragon, blocking the key could be fun, but the accuracy on the orb is bad. The R1 on the spear also does like 10% less damage. Maybe. I don't see a reason to use the orb. This isn't my goal. I don't wake up in the morning and say, oh boy, can't wait to poo-poo on a spell. My job is to talk about how the various tools work in the run. And the orbs are a bad tool. A lot of spells are just bad tools. They're bad tools and they're next to good tools. It's plastic knives next to tempered Japanese steel. Yeah, you can cut a steak with a plastic knife if you're fine with all the wobbliness. I'm happy for you. But on my Talk About Knives show, I'm not going to say it's a good knife. It's not good against the Red Wolf because the Red Wolf move. If the bosses move, it gets even harder to aim. I'm continuing to talk about it because I really wanted to give it a fair shake and be impressed by it, so I kept using it. Let's play Can Moongrum Parriot. Today's subject is Mesmer's Assault. Like, I don't have to explain why that's good. No, you can just look at it with your eyes. I don't have to write a dissertation defending it. You just hit the button and it works. It's great against Renala, though I should have used the orb here because she doesn't move. I tried it in phase 2. When she does move, we missed and got hit by a moon. Then I try yeeting the spear and hey, yeeting the spear is also bad. I'm saying a weapon is bad too, or at least part of a weapon. The yeet isn't very great, at least in a vacuum. Once we switch to jump attacks and R1s, this goes super fast. Why try anything that isn't bonk boss? Every boss is designed to be bonkable. So bonk is a great strategy against any boss. Simply bonk and invest in your bonk. Now, Mesmer beat Radahn on the pull, but can he beat Radahn with a pull? Not if we get shot by every single arrow on the way in. If only there was a way to skip this phase.
Zip.
One more go with the orb. It does okay damage when it lands the second time we shoot it. Way less DPS than just poking with the R1, and it got us smacked a lot. Fire Serpent, though. This is pretty good. I can flounder with the orb all I want because I know Fire Serpent is here to clean it up when I need to. With Radahn toasted, we can climb up the tower and kill it and activate the Great Rune for a big old dump truck worth of HP, which we're gonna need because our armor is terrible. Dude said skies out, thighs out, and still does not have a tan. Mesmer isn't a carrion, but he can go to carry a manor. R'hllana asked him to carry a man her. I don't know what that means, but it's probably not something Marika would approve of. We remembered to summon Hildy for Loretta, who hangs out on the water. The yeet spear works great when someone else is taking the aggro, and we end it with a funny ball. Hey, Mesmer and R'hllana have something in common. A terrible flying ball spell that you should only use as a joke. Say hi to Ronnie and the gang and end the stream so we can move all the shit back where it's supposed to be. Look at that camera. Oh, that's so much better. Look at that Stream 2 camera. Oh, that's so much better. It feels so much better. First death of the run is just falling in Radahn's hole wrong. Sometimes it's hard to fit the spear in there, you know? Another mistake, I put my weapons on too early, so we actually have to fight the Mimic Tier instead of just kinda jumping on it. Oh god. Turns out Mesmer's Assault kinda clears every NPC, and I learned that from the Mimic Tier when it almost cleared us with Mesmer's Assault. That was science. I love science. Deer is less annoying to chase down when you can just yeet, though the damage would have been better if we just walked in and hit. Still, this has the range of a spell without any FP cost. Kind of a banger. Back to the Incel Rivermane, and just because Mesmer is packing impressive length doesn't mean he uses it. Think of his mother. Lord knows that's what he's doing. Lake of Rot should be called Lake of Lots of Running. I don't know. It's like a 400-yard dash we have to do every week, and it's nothing. Astel could be something we can dome. Having ranged attack options makes Astel more fun, and this build has a couple of good ranged options. We used the Assault on the stance break, but didn't really need to. It was a flex. Let's add a bit of heat to Boggart's pot, then make friends with a snake lady. Mesmer loves snakes. They're really the mothers of the animal world. Volcano Manor is hot, and the Godskin Noble is also here. This Heresy Meatball has good fire defense, thick fat, it's Pokemon, it makes sense. But the spear here does some decent piercing damage too, which the Heresy Meatball also resists. Really, we just win because it's a Godskin Noble, and we're pretty badass. Mesmer grabs the Man Serpent. We won't use it, but sometimes it's just fun to grab your Man Serpent. Make sure to vote this next election cycle, by the way. One party wants to make it illegal to grab your Man Serpent. If you have Power Stance Great Spears in the Rykard fight, they both make wind. Make wind is an idiom for farting, and hitting Rykard with Power Stance Great Spears is... Why does it do so much less damage? Is the fire damage from our fire spear going through the wind? I don't know. It's just bad. And even worse, it made me talk about the Rykard fight. Who wants to do that? Valiant Gargoyles should be medium. Yeah, not too bad. The water certainly doesn't help. It's really why lightning is such a lucky damage type. But fire is good against some of the really hard bosses. Bit of a wash. We end things with the flashy Ashy of War, gotta love it. Hey, let's try that Ash of War against Fia's champs. In my desperation to make the spells work, I guess I haven't really tried out the Mesmer Assault Ash of War that much. It's a multi-hit. It's a fucking multi-hit. No, the multi-hit Ash of War can't do more than the giant charged fucking spell in one of its multi-hits. No! 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 Fuck! Oh, God! Oh, shit! Oh, fuck! No! No! I'm gonna get yelled at again! Oh well, what else is new? Other than all those spells and weapons in the DLC. The base game bosses just kind of feel like filler now. Kindling, even, for a greater flame. 2 weeks in a row with the Talking Heads needle drops, nailing it over here. Believe it or not, the tree we fight doesn't like fire. I feel like we've talked about this already. Godfrey stomps to break Hilda's stance in one hit. Wish they will no longer stagger as easily. Am I right, gamers who read those patch notes? She also got distracted by just about everybody outside, so we basically solo it. Morgott up next, and he does not want to let us summon. Big brother bullying little bro energy. Stance break right before phase 2, then we just hit one Ash of War and he dies. Wait, no, he lived? Okay. From downtown! Yeet! 4 Harris lands. Pretty sure the V-pick will be announced by the time this video airs, because actually I'm sure it will. Apparently she's announcing it in like 4 days after I'm recording this. Whether or not it's Tim Waltz, I think it should be noted he kind of figured out the "they're weird" narrative, and also does a good job of explaining progressive policy positions without falling for the Republican framing. Like, why is school lunch good? You don't have to say it's a fiscally neutral move because that leaves taxpayers more money to contribute to the economy. You can just say kids should eat lunch. The other stuff might be true. You can just say good things because they're good. You don't have to go into weird la-la land where kids need to pay taxes or understand how debt works. Psycho crap. Fire Giant time, he resists fire, but honestly I think Mesmer is just so sad he didn't get to do this genocide for mommy because Radahn did. Mesmer would have. Look at the horn scent, tell him he did good. Wait, no, that's more mass violence. Is America a bad mom? This fire spear is bad against the fireman. Fireman is very slow though, so it's just kind of a long chore. It's got me real concerned for Moog. Fire Giant actually only has 50% fire resistance. Moog's is 30% better and twice as fast with a status effect.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
Our sister burns down the tree. Thanks, Melina. I'll remember you in the item description, in like one item description, kind of offhandedly. I'll remember you. Godskin Duo. It's like that Godskin earlier, but now Duo. We clear the Heresy Meatball right when the other two clear out the Blasphemy Noodle. Now it's a 3v1. Try the Ash against the next one, and it is just, oh my god. I'm not even sure they resist fire damage anymore. Or maybe Mesmer's Assault just rips. We don't even have the Jar Shard. I'm rocking purely defensive talismans because we are cosplaying Zagreus. Zagreus is a bit of a boy slut. Swag jump, bird run, and we look right into Malekith. The yeet is nice here, keeping our distance while he throws rocks, and then I just run in there and hit L1 and do more damage. The Ash of War can also be used as a swat, like a charged R2 alternative, since we don't have a charged R2 that doesn't yeet. Just tap it, don't spam it, only use the first hit. Gideon time, oh shit, this nice man has been to the DLC. Saw that meme on the internet, but they censored all of the other letters after nice man. I am sure it was nice man, and that's what it was. Weird. Godfrey again, already awesome. Little thing we haven't mentioned, when we jump attack in R1, stance breaks are pretty common with the Great Spear. It's in the Great category, and every weapon with Great in the category name has great stance pressure, except Great Bows. Those are always terrible. Radahn goes rougher than I expected. He's got 0 fire resistance, but he gets us in some healing spirals. Elden Beast also catches us with strays and runs away. Even Torrent added to the fight, the dude is still a pain to play tag with. Elden Stars is basically a joke now. It was never really that bad if you have 40 plus vigor, but now it's even less of a problem. Mesmer killed his dad and burned down the God Tree. Now let's just make sure we clean up everything with a nice cleansing fire. So endgame and beyond, this is where NG Plus starts plussing. Let's see if we can impale Placidusax's Pulusi with our spear. We have pierce damage, that's nice, but goddamn, are you sure? We get the final hit of the assault off on the head after a stance break, then it starts teleporting. This is where Placy decides whether or not he's gonna win or lose. If he just keeps teleporting, we can't do anything about that. And he can just decide to not crash into the wall with the Omega Laser, then one-shot us with a hitbox that I'm pretty sure you can't roll through. Very cool. Can we fight Bale yet? Second try, we do the same thing. Just stay aggressive, hope for a stance break, hope that he doesn't teleport everywhere, and the game just kind of decides it's our turn to win. This time, he lands close enough that we can run in after catching some of the stunlock breath and not die. They decide we get to win. Isn't that nice? Impaling the castle's hole, more likely than you might think. Niall brings in his boys, but they get roasted and posted pretty fast. Posted is when a post goes through your head. We just keep it simple this time. Stay in tight, hit the R1s, gets us the first Dejectus piece. Now Mesmer is going to have to do something pretty evil here, pretty morally questionable, and kill an innocent man for the other piece. Could he do it? Could he bring himself to that? Oh my god, he killed 2 other people too.
Naughty, naughty.
Penguin Noble can't handle a couple of Mesmer assaults. Wait, what's the shorthand for that? M.A. It's Ma. It's Ma. Like mom. Someone get Mesmer in therapy. Speaking of children in desperate need of therapy, it's Moog. He's barfing blood everywhere, and our damage is bad. Hilda's damage is bad. We use the spear yeets this time and run out of flasks with a lot of health left, but Hilda's fine, and we can keep the distance and just yeet, and pray a little bit. That ends up working out all right, but it took 5 minutes, and that's a really long Moog fight. Yada yada yada, Carrion Study Hall, yada yada yada, hug Fia, it's Fortisax time. Remember how Fire Serpent is the fire version of Magic Glint Blade? Well, that's like one of the best ways to handle Fortisax, so Fire Serpent is the same thing. I don't even know if he resists fire more than magic. I couldn't be bothered to look it up. I'm sure some of you will in the comments. Good job. Let's get you fitted for your good job sticker because you're such a good little boy, aren't you? Let me take that again for different genders. You're a good little girl, aren't you? And finally, you're a good little sub, aren't you? Sub being short for subscriber. Nothing else going on with these voice clips. Liturgical Town and Erdtree are uneventful except for the swag jumps. It's honestly probably more interesting than the Loretta fight since we have a big long spear, and a big long spear is pretty good against a horse girl. We did fall off in Elphael, but the Royal Revenant didn't grab us. If only there were an easy way to beat them in a fight. Malenia is generally easier with fire, weapons with reach, a tanky Spirit Ash, so this one should go fine.
Not this time.
I really don't get it. This build should have everything we need to beat Malenia. What is the issue? Oh yeah, we don't have any pants. Fire Serpent is pretty great in phase 2 when she comes out of the onion, but on our first attempt she hits us with the melee range clones. Bit of a bummer. Back at it, and we're still just kind of trying to poke her and keep our distance. Spacing is good and our stance pressure is good, but when we try and punish that stance break with the Ma attack, she duckies and that gets us killed from full health. With the Dragon Crest Great Shield on, you need to wear pants, gamers. Pretty much anytime she hits the ducky dance, we can just be fully dead, even if we think we're far enough away to run. Whiffing a crit in phase 2 sucks. We really just want to put her into the second onion specifically to avoid the clones, which we get again. Oh god, it's Myriad. She has Myriad. Radahn has Myriad. Why are all the hardest bosses getting Myriad? Only takes about 10 minutes and I'm kind of embarrassed by what works. We just keep doing what we have been doing from the start. Hit the swat of the assault, don't do the combo. Except when she's like really distracted. We get a stance break, but it's too slow to actually let us punish. Bummer. She stands up really fast. Phase 2 starts and we serpent, then back up and keep serpenting. Let Hildy take the aggro, that pushes her to Onion 2, but she gets a big stab on Hildy for some extra healing. It looks like we're about to totally die to the melee clones, but then I just kept spamming the Fire Serpent and backing up, and that works. It's fire damage Magic Glint Blade, Phil. I know Magic Glint Blade lets you just back up and spam, so really, we should have been doing that the whole time. It's Malenia cheese. The best way to take her down is to remember she's lactose intolerant. Of course, if Malenia is a problem, that doesn't bode well for the DLC. Hopefully the Shadow Tree levels are enough, otherwise we're getting on that pain train.
Life is hard, and so am I.
At least we get to save time, not having to grab these Shadow Tree fragments, we can just sprint right for the bosses. Dancing Lion first. Fire is one of the better damage types against it, but really with the max tree levels, we can kind of just barrel in. Plus scaling isn't all that intense in Belarus. Eventually I just start yeeting. Doesn't matter if we can't see. Everything's fine, because the scaling hasn't hit yet. Maybe it just won't hit. Maybe it will all be okay.
I doubt it, but you never know.
Off to Castellensis next. Rolana wanted us to impale her for so long, but I think I'll get a restraining order. Letta and Hilda can just keep the aggro, we stay back and spam the spear. If the other girlies are doing okay, we might as well just keep the stance pressure up and damage up from a safe distance. It is an incredibly easy fight. Now we just kind of book it. Nothing much happens. We just run all the way through Shadow Altus into the back door of the Shadow Keep. We got 18 inches. You can enter your own back door. Most interestingly though, on the elevator, it looks like Mesmer's taint is pulsing because of the ritual shield talisman.
The mad taint.
There are 3 remembrance bosses here. We're starting with the flower because it should be stupid easy. We have a fire spell with good tracking that can hit the head, which takes more damage, on a flower, which takes more damage from fire. Look at that damage from a fast spam spell. It's absurd. And it's so easy to hit too. We take a lot of hits, I guess, an embarrassing amount maybe, but it's fine. We kind of blast it. Fire Serpent is goated. I really, really love this spell, how fast it is, how consistent the tracking is, and how much solid damage it puts out. Please stop saying I hate every spell, because boy howdy, I love some of these. I just think most of them are bad. Next up, Commander Gaius. He hardly knows us. That projectile deflection he does isn't ideal, and I want to do a lot of projectiles. These big AoEs and charges make him pretty hard to get away from, which isn't exactly ideal for our frail little body. Our frail body whose health bar stretches halfway across the screen. It only takes one more try. Gaius just isn't that big of a deal. You just need your Shadow Trees up. I get that he's blocking 5 Shadow Tree fragments, but this time he gets the NG plus boost. I really think it's just kind of fine. It's a wash. Lots of washing in this video, which seems weird. I would imagine Mesmer doesn't have to do a lot of laundry. Hey, at least this time I remember to do the Ansbach quest.
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Then we run, a lot, so that we can make it to the Stone Coffin Fissure, or more accurately, Coffin Flop.
We're just shooting funerals and showing the ones where the bodies fly out.
Hey, for real though, why is it okay to fall and land in the Putrescent Night Arena, but nowhere else in this area? Seriously, the damage is decent on our end, but fully absurd on his end. New Game Plus scaling has activated. We spend so much time juicing and then just hit it with the fire. I guess he saw us with the fire and was like,
I do that.
Every time I dodge it, it's not timing, it's pure dumb luck. Honestly, every move, not just the fire. Dude's swings are weird. A lot of the DLC stuff swings weird. I think it's just like rhythm in a different time signature. I'm used to 4-4, these suckers are doing 3-4. As is so oft the case, it turns out the best tool is Fire Serpent, coded spell. It's a Bucky Bronco, and it will run away from the hits of the spear. So let's just summon a fireball that follows him down wherever he goes. Did we just hit level 5 as a spellcaster in Dungeons and Dragons? Because it's time to spam fireball. Please don't take this as an invitation to ask me to do D&D content. That is still something I don't want to do. It's painful. Speaking of painful, we can do some sounding in the neighborhood and activate Jolan for the Mesmer fight. The fight against ourselves. Time for that, by the way.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Quit out the first time, then bring in Jolan and start yeeting. Our fire damage isn't great against Mesmer, but it's also the only element our armor is decent against. We can even handle a grab. It's so fun to watch Mesmer grab himself. Phase 2, I'm jumping, then go for that full combo and get kinda melted while melting him. It's close enough, you know what? YOLO. Full on Impale combo. First Mesmer grabs himself, then he impales himself. You'll love to see it. If you're Rolana, I assume she's a viewer. I fought hard to get her more from FromSoft, and they patched in a chair for her. Boom!
We did it! We did it, Joe!
Second finger ruins are bad, I don't like them, but whatever, they don't kill me because the snake guys are snakes, and Mesmer is friends with the snakes. Third finger ruins, Anna gets pushed off, welcome to cough and flop. Medir is a rough time, I don't think I've learned to properly dodge any of the attacks, I just get lucky or trade. There are several attacks I see this time I've never seen before, and we die a lot here. Is it greed? Maybe, but this thing's just weird. It's much like the one reborn in Bloodborne. I don't know how that thing's attacks work either. I just hit it and sometimes its feet hit me. Then I heal when I take damage and hope that at some point it works out. We have some great tools for when it goes up into those flying attacks, so eventually that does help us get the win. By tools I mean Fire Serpent. Snakes are our friends. Romina, I hardly know her, but she's weak to fire, and we've got a lot of that. It's not particularly hard, and we can successfully use the strategy we used against Medir. Just hit sometimes, heal up when we get hit, and hope we do more damage than she does. We do, so we win. Wow, our damage is pretty nuts. It might seem like I'm kind of just zooming through this script and, well, yeah, I am. This is shorter than a lot of our runs before the DLC. Now we'll head down through the ruins of Unt. I bet Marika serves Major Unt. She is Mother. Not to keep dragging the script, let's head down through the dank-like catacombs, pop out the other side, and take on Jory. There's some big boys. There's some little boys. There's some Jory boys. Our spear swings big and wide, and it makes it a decent tool for a gank fight. Then through the optional stealth section that is mandatory, I'm aware you can parry them. Thank you. I'm aware that the note in the mansion says that. Thank you. I don't want to parry them. It's not as fast as just quitting out when you get caught. And getting a tip about how to beat an enemy after you've run past the enemy and have no reason to go back and fight them doesn't make me like reading journals for plot in the game. Like, it's just too late. Speaking of too late, it's too late for Midra. He's not doing well.
That guy yells.
Also, apparently, this guy's a dump truck. I said he didn't have a lot of HP, but I was wrong. Dude has more health than Radahn. Where is he keeping it? Hasn't eaten in years. I get that. There's a thrusting sword where his esophagus should be, but how is he so thick while maintaining no thickness? No cheeks. Also, another boss that doesn't have crazy high fire defense. It's his highest, but like, it's not that high. I think he makes up for his high HP with low stance pressure. Midra hits us with the grab.
He should call himself Ass Kick instead.
And Mesmer gets impaled. Damn. We end up by impaling him though. Another first try win. 2 bosses left. Should be fun.
We're not having no fun. We're not having no fun.
First, Spira stairs. They go horrible. Hey, Enia Ilum, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Eat a dick. Then the rooftops with 5 mini deathbirds right next to each other. Then the Wind Lion Guardian, who will either lock onto you or your Spirit Ash and decide one of them needs to die. Today, he decided it was us. Neat. But don't worry. After all that, you get to fight Lettuce Champs. Is that better? Yeah, because we can just hit the haha Ash of War that floors them and confirm that Ansbach will be here to help us with Radahn. Hornsent is doing absurd amounts of damage with his little Omen Barons though. Do they always do that much damage? Should I try those?
I doubt it, but you never know.
We win first try. Not hard, just annoying. But now, Radahn. Oh no. Remember how I said Mesmer beat him on the pole? Well, apparently Radahn took it personally because he is carving us up. Now, I knew Ansbach gives him more health, but damn, Ansbach gives him like a lot more health. Oof. Also, this was before the patch that had bleed on Ansbach's assault, so that should be better in the second stream we fight Radahn, if we don't beat him here. Spoilers, there's a vertical section that goes up in Hades 2 where you climb Mount Olympus and meet Heracles. But also spoilers for this video, we don't beat Radahn this stream. It's just science. Sometimes science hurts. Sometimes science hurts a lot. So we try with Hildy and to know Ansbach so he has less health, and that's not enough. It's not enough of a health reduction at all, especially since he just deletes Hildy. She staggers so easily. If only, she will no longer stagger as easily. Oh, also the game breaks. So we can just still change the flasks down in the corner, just freeze framed. Like,
yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Let's try changing to Spirit Ash. For that, we need to go fight Quelaag. Those stripped of grace shall meet their end in the embrace of Mesmer's flame. Yeah, that's the idea, buddy. Dude gets absolutely destroyed by the Ma attack. But apparently the one in Shadow Altus doesn't drop the key to his room, or at least not every time. I'm not sure if there are any other things like this in the game, but you get 2 different drops depending on the time you fight him, not based on the location in which you fight him. So we have to fight him in Belarut too. Thou shalt not evade the flame of Mesmer.
That's the idea.
Now we can use this Iris of Grace on him and get Quelaag's Spirit Ashes. He's great for 2 reasons. He can be grabbed and he can't be stance broken. I said that earlier. Hildy can't be grabbed, can be stance broken. Quelaag can be grabbed, can't be stance broken.
See, I did say that.
Would you believe that the Spirit Ash swap was all we needed to get the win? Because you shouldn't, it's still really bad. Honestly, maybe not, even better. New strategy, swap to Fire Serpent and just spam from the back while Ansbach techs. It works better. Fire Serpent goated. I love the spell, it's really, really good. Also helps that we picked up a second Fire Knight seal to boost the damage by another 15%, plus the fire boost from the Physic tier. Maybe the move will be to go all in on the Serpent. There's definitely some things we could do, but we'll have to sacrifice some defensive buffs, and our defenses are already really fucking bad. These are questions we'll have to answer next stream, because I haven't done that stream at the time of writing this or recording this. Hope we win! Malenia would often get entire sections to herself, but I'm gonna be real, Radahn's getting 2 sections, because this section is dedicated to the time-honored tradition of cheating. Not right away. Basically, we're gonna keep finding new ways to get this slightly easier and slightly less in character, because Papa has a deadline. There are various rules to these videos, but the most important one is that a video comes out every week. Everything else is secondary. First thing we do, totally fine. We're just gonna grab another Physic tier, the Oil tier. The Wicker Man we have to fight for this tier isn't all that bad because we have the best talisman for these dudes, Twin-Headed Turtle. Our stamina comes back so fast we can just keep swinging away. If we run out of stamina, it recovers fast enough that we can still jump to avoid the attacks. Still takes for goddamn ever and is in no way fun at all. Little problem, didn't know how the Oil tier worked. Yeah, so the Oil tier makes you leak oil in your vicinity, dripping it in melee range over and over again. I thought one little bit of lube at the beginning was all we needed to make Radahn take 20% more fire damage from all sources, but no, you need to reapply the lube every so often, and for that you gotta be close. Really hoping that this extra 20% damage would help Ansbach, who does fire damage, and our Spirit Ashes, who also do fire damage, and us, who does fire damage. But I didn't know that we had to stay in melee range to keep applying it until I watched that Rusty Physic video a day after we finished the run. Oh, sorry about that, spoilers by the way. Ben Affleck shows up as Daredevil in Deadpool and the Wolverine, but spoilers for this video, we do finish the run. We even had a little bit of help from the patch gods. Remember how I kept saying does not stagger as easily? Well, Hilda got buffed there, and Quelaag got more vigor and more faith for more damage. They basically buffed every Spirit Ash in the game between streams, almost as though the developers of the game don't consider them easy mode, do consider them to be an integral part of the game, and also considered them inefficient in the DLC. So inefficient that they buffed all but one of them for the base game as well. We go a little harder by fighting Godefroy and grabbing the Charge Attack Talisman, still not cheating here, and hopefully we'll just get more damage to actually kill Radahn faster. It does not work. More not quite cheating, let's run up Mount Gelmir a little bit and imagine Mesmer getting laid. The Fire Scorpion will lower our defenses by 10%, but it will increase our damage of our fire attacks by 12%. At this point, I figure we just need to get lucky, even if I'm up all night to get lucky. Heading back in, I'll be honest, I don't really notice him doing all that much more damage to us. What's the difference between getting hit by a pickup truck or a Hummer, you know? Still, we be dying a lot, it hurts, it's frustrating, and it's just not all that good to narrate. Rough stuff for a regular video. The rest of the DLC adds like 4 hours of streaming to my schedule before writing is factored in, but Radahn adds 5. After about an hour in this day, we go toast up Gilka for the Ritual Sword Talisman. Used to be old reliable, but it's kind of fallen off for me lately. Here's my philosophy though, if a bunch of his shit in phase 2 is gonna straight up one-shot us, we might as well try and stay at full health to do more damage. Each talisman we're adding is taking away a bit from our defensive setup, which means more boo-boos. Here's a run where I didn't charge the fireball and just spammed it as fast as possible, hoping to get a stance break, while also putting on the Golden Braid Talisman in place of the Godfrey icon so that we would have more holy defense for phase 2, and since we're not charging, we don't need the Charge Attack Talisman. It didn't work at all. Here's the first cheat. We're gonna go down through Volcano Manor and grab Golden Vow at the bottom of Gelmnir. It's a consumable in the DLC, so technically we can use it, right? I'm allowed to use the consumables. This just saves me from farming. I also scooped up Lord's Divine Fortnitification, which is basically just a pickled holy liver, right? Another consumable. It's totally fair that we use it. Now, Flame grant me strength. I wanted to use it, so that's my reason for that.
Give me that.
It does not work. We're still just being let down by our spirit ashes, being glorified pieces of toilet paper. FromSoft really buffed all of them, despite the revered spirit ash system, and they still just fold under the weight of Radahn. So, cheating again, we go get the Mimic, the only spirit ash that actually wasn't buffed in the last patch, but it's still just way tankier than everything else. Technically, this is still just using Mesmer's gear. We're just using more of it.
Sure, Jan.
Little problem, that Mimic tier is so stupid. And that second seal we have to boost our fire spells, yeah, it's not upgraded. The Mimic is so dumb that it's trying to cast spells out of that seal and doing like no damage. Easy fix, upgrade the other seal, make it so that he can only make good decisions. It's really the best way to handle the Mimic. Take away all of his bad options because he will use bad options if he can. He's the kid who wants to eat glue sticks. You gotta give him something he can't possibly choke or poison himself with. Uh-oh, also realized Mimic isn't gonna get the benefit of the ritual sword talisman like ever, so let's go make Gowry sad. First, gotta toast O'Neill, got really greedy, almost died spamming the Ash of War, but hey, we lived, nothing bad will happen to the Mara Kennedys. Then Millicent quest. You've seen it? You know how it goes? Run around, grabbing needles and shit and drop down on cliffs or whatever. Yada yada yada, Godskin Apostle. And we hit Millie with the Ma attack. Now this is the solution for sure.
Not this time.
Yeah. We just kind of keep dying more, but we're probably doing about twice as much damage as we were when we first started the stream. We're also taking twice as much damage. The fact is, I'm just getting a little too tilted. When I tilt forward. I want it all to be over, so I just keep bashing my head into the wall, hoping that the wall will break. It won't. Sometimes you need to give your head a rest and borrow your friend's head instead. Google getting some head from your friends on your work computer to find out more. So as it turns out, the best thing you can do when you're burnt out is just take a break. Go get some nuggies, don't be hungry. Over the course of the good night's rest, I realized I was dying way before the Mimic and Ansbach were every time, which I didn't need to. That's the classic tilted gamer behavior. But if you just go get some sleep and don't get angry, you can be more open about letting your friends help you, even if your friends are a bunch of stupid assholes. Yeah, Ansbach is helpful. I do really believe that. I know a lot of people are like, don't summon Ansbach, he's bait, he just gives Radahn more health. Yeah, he also distracts him, and that is unequivocally worth it. If he gets like one bleed, it's even more worth it. He doesn't even need a bleed though. He just needs to be a body that distracts Radahn, and he's doing a good job. Now sometimes though, he tests me. I guess he's probably taking as many shots to the dome as we are, but he's not recovering as well because this dude's brains are mush and the Mimic has never been known for his intelligence. However, our first attempt of the day, by just relying on these assholes to tank aggro a little more and focusing on dodging when Radahn is mad at us, we get Radahn to jump for the first time. Progress. Finally, progress. And by the way, yes, that does mean for the first 5 hours we fought Radahn, we never got him to 75% health. Hey, let's cheat again. Once you start cheating, it's pretty hard to stop. At least that's what my dad taught me, and I'm not saying he was big on academic honesty. We grab the Erdtree heal, so that some of our heals are group heals, and maybe even the Mimic will heal us. Technically speaking, this isn't even really cheating any more than drinking a flask is. If it's okay for our Mesmer to heal with a flask, when Mesmer, in the boss fight, doesn't have a flask, surely it's okay that we heal with a spell. Mesmer casts spells. Who knows if he has any sort of vessel from which to drink? I've started just full spamming the serpents as fast as possible at the start of phase 2. I don't believe charging them adds any stance pressure, so rapid launching would be the best way to get a stance break. Spoilers though, the Cyclops is the first boss of the Olympus route in Hades 2, but also spoilers, we never get a stance break. Hope you're glad you skipped the Hades 2 video to avoid spoilers. I'm now spoiling everything I can think of randomly through every video out of spite.
gonna cry?
Villain era. I've gone Jonkler mode. Sadly, it seems like if we ever do get stance breaks, they're right before phase 2, which stinks. It lets me reset all those cheating buffs that I want to, though. I guess that's good. For phase 2, we go for Lord's Divine Fortnitification. Extra damage would be nice from Flame Grant Me Strength, but it's nicer to, like, live? Think about it. We do damage to Radahn every fight, but we only win if we survive. Other than, you know, those few runs where we like died and won, we've done that a couple times already. Here's the closest we come to winning. Start off with that oil that we aren't using right. Lord knows it's better to be lubed up. Then spam our fireballs and trade aggro. When it's pointed at us, focus on dodging. When it's pointed at Ansbach or the Mimic, spam. Spam to high heaven. If we need to heal and the aggro ain't on us, I try to space it so everyone gets a heal. Stance break, buffs applied, he starts phase 2 not doing the nuke, instead starting with the myriad, then the nuke. I'm healing up to tank it. Now we just hit them fireballs as much as we can until the aggro is on us, and dodge in a circle and into him, giving the other boys enough time to get in there, catch up, take the aggro again. When he grabs Ansbach, we just heal up the Mimic and buff ourselves. It gets us stomped right at the end, but the buff's still applied. God, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself a stance break wasn't happening, because yeah, I'm doing these like peppered little fireballs when I should have been doing the big charged ones. Another nuke, I neutralized it by healing everyone as he was going up. Thanks to Fortnite, we're okay. Speaking of Fortnite, Radahn asks Mikola where we dropping, but when the battle bus lands, the Mimic is still doing just fine. We can reset Golden Vow. Oh god, it's the drill attack, but we're so low on stamina, we didn't get to do the Fortnite buff, which is good, because it would have killed us. Mimic heals us, while Ansbach is getting toasted. We take a full nuke with no Fortnite on, but Mimic is regularly healing now. It's at a low enough HP threshold that that's mixed into its moveset. This rules. Let him take the aggro while we heal up, put the Fortnite back on, he gets grabbed, and we're out of magic. That's okay. I wanted to use the spear a little anyway. One jump attack, avoid the combo, and focus on dodging until the Mimic is the focus for Radahn. He goes for that Omega combo that's actually one of his better moves to dodge in my opinion, and then the freaking meteors. If he follows up with the myriad, we just die. Because if he does the myriad, it stun locks us into a hit that one-shots us. But he doesn't. One more nuke, the Mimic hits fireballs to bring him lower, and we finish it with one more jump attack.
First try.
Now, we get to eat our dessert. Ancient Dragon Man takes one Ma attack. Well, the invader does. The actual boss takes 2 Ma attacks. Wowie wowie wow. I keep attacking the wrong Drake. Apparently the champion of Hoenn never DM'd any minors. Lance is the one with the underage Dragonites on his team. These jokes are landing for the perfect wedge of Elden Ring obsessives, Pokemon obsessives, and hip-hop heads. We aim our jokes to make precisely 4 people laugh, and I'm one of those 4. Balefight checking in to remind me how much I love this game. He drops, we bring out Egon. Definitely love the patch that let us just auto-summon Egon. I also love that Bale gives you enough time to heal, drop the Mimic, and struggle to get in, until I realized we shouldn't be trying to poke with the spear. He needs to be taken down by a hail of harpoons. Oh, that hurt my voice. So after phase 2 erupts with some crazy spectacles of flashing particle effects and explosions and unholy demon wings, and I change my underpants, we start throwing the spear. Spacing is a bit rough, but that's because I lack skill. I get grabbed, another skill issue, but Bale don't care. He says, I know you goofed up. Heal up and come back. He is my best friend, and so is his mortal enemy, Egon. My birthday party will be awkward. That's one dead dragon, and one more completed run. This one was pretty smooth, until that NG plus scaling hit in the DLC. Negatives are obviously the lack of armor, the lack of poise, and the garbage spell that is Mesmer's Orb. Happy if you made it work, but there is no reason to use that instead of Fire Serpent, which is probably the best part of this build. I really like Fire Serpent. It's fast, it tracks, it deals fire damage, which is so easy to boost. The spear is nice. Maybe not all that great. I think it needs 51 poise and better armor to tank the damage you'll need to get through that Ash of War. But you could say the same thing about Mesmer's Orb. Well, Mesmer's Orb gets through and hits like a decent hammer charged attack for a trade. Mesmer's Assault gets through and hits like a Kansas farmhouse in Munchkinland. There is a difference between it trades to do pretty good damage and it trades to remove a boss from the land of mortals. I'd say Mesmer's better than Rolana, but worse than the Omen Killer. B tier. Put some pants on, Mesmer. If you want to see these runs live, follow us on Twitch. We're finding new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel. It's the best place to do it, and make sure you like and subscribe to help us out here on YouTube for free.